Ladies and gentlemen, dear Edyta, dzień dobry. This is the only Polish word I know. Sorry for that. I'm very pleased to be invited to speak with you today because my colleague and assistant supervisor Wojciech Wieworowski, whom many of you know very well, has told me about the eminent experts attending this event, and I'm very sorry not to be with you in person. Let me start by saying that the data protection community is now fully engaged with the question of artificial intelligence. Last month, my institution, the European Data Protection Supervisor, hosted the 40th edition of the International Conference of Data Protection and Privacy Commissioners here in Brussels, where we focus exactly the discussion on ethics. And one of the most important outcomes of the conference was an adoption of an international declaration on exactly ethics and data protection in artificial intelligence and privacy. It has been adopted by privacy commissioners from around the globe unanimously. And this is currently open for public consultation, and I would encourage all of you to not only read the report we publish, but also to give us your feedback. Artificial intelligence. Yes, it is a sort of a paradoxical expression. It literally means intelligence, understanding the world around us. It has been created by people, so it's an artifice. And that implies that humans will always be responsible, partly at least, for it. Like all technologies, there is a great opportunity to bring benefits to people and our environment. But artificial intelligence cannot become a sort of a pretext for irresponsible, not sustainable data practices. Most people are concerned about artificial intelligence systems replacing humans in the workplace, for instance, and ultimately becoming superior to humans as predicted in science fiction. But our concern is not so much the future, but more the here and now. Because the reality is that humans are already become dehumanized and subjected to machines in many contexts. And this is happening in warehouses, for instance, where workers are guided from shelf to shelf and their performance monitored according to hidden algorithms. This is happening, for instance, in school in China, where children are subject to constant surveillance to see if they are paying attention. It is happening at borders, even in the EU, where research has been commissioned to develop an artificial intelligence system to detect whether a migrant or even a traveler is lying about their reason for travel. Last week, as EDPS, I published a blog post reviewing recent attempts to scrutinize and establish principles for the development of artificial intelligence, including the document adopted by the International Conference, which I have just mentioned. And we need to separate the hyperbole from the reality. The development of artificial intelligence has seen peaks of inflated expectations and throughs of disillusionment. People talk about artificial intelligence winters and artificial intelligence springs. So such a speculation is largely for the birds. But it is true that technology comes long after science fiction. And unfortunately, regulation comes even longer after the technology. This is why the data protection authorities I mentioned, the declaration, identifies 6 principles for the future development of and use of artificial intelligence: fairness, accountability, transparency, privacy by design, empowerment, and also non-discrimination. And we, last but not least, would demand international cooperation to implement these governing principles. And we have now a new permanent working group on ethics and data protection in artificial intelligence at international level, which will contribute to these efforts. Machine learning is one of the central areas of artificial intelligence, which has had some of the most significant developments. New applications such as natural language processing, image recognition, and other operations based on data analysis have made significant progress, making it possible to apply machine learning technologies to new and bigger tasks. In fact, these new applications are being discussed by academics. For instance, the empirical method in natural language processing 2018 conference, which took place in Brussels shortly after the International Conference of Privacy and Data Protection Commissioners, where they discuss new research that is being done into machine learning technology. Artificial intelligence then could be able to recognize hate speech, deceptive text, terrorist content online, and this is a welcome development. However, societal impact of new artificial intelligence is not properly assessed before these technologies are incorporated into everyday products and services. So in my view, we need to ensure that these new technologies are developed in line with fundamental rights and democratic values. The great artificial intelligence moment for many people, the indication of a sort of an artificial intelligence spring, was perhaps in 2014 with DeepMind's AlphaGo's triumph over the human champion in an abstract board game. But in the real world, artificial intelligence has still been unable to perform simple, concrete mobility challenges. This is the Moravec's paradox, named after the Hans-Peter Moravec of Carnegie Mellon University. And the paradox is that high-level reasoning requires very little computation, but low-level sensor motor skills, and this requires enormous computational resources. So to quote Moravec, it is comparatively easy to make computers exhibit adult-level performance on intelligent tests or playing checkers, and difficult or impossible to give them the skills of a one-year-old when it comes to perception and mobility. In another area, the area of autonomous vehicles, for example, no one has yet worked out how to enable a self-driving car to safely change lanes. And one big carmaker's board member has recently said that everyone in the industry is becoming more and more nervous that they risk to waste billions of dollars. So therefore, the concerns from a privacy perspective is that artificial intelligence become an exciting slogan to justify perhaps an excessive use of intrusive sensors and constant surveillance of the people inside and outside the vehicle. So we know, for example, from Michael Kosinski, whose research was used by Cambridge Analytica in his paper published last year, that a machine learning system was able to distinguish between photos of gay and straight people with a high degree of accuracy. And the system used over 35,000 photographs from dating websites and what Kosinski described as off-the-shelf facial recognition software. So, presented with two pictures, one of a gay person and the other straight, the algorithm was trained to distinguish the two in 81 of the cases involving images of men and 74 of photographs of women. Human judges, by contrast, were able to identify the straight and gay people in 61 of and 54% of cases, respectively. So when the algorithm was shown 5 facial images per person in the pair, its accuracy increased to 91% for men and 83% for women. Kosinski said that he was just shocked to discover that it is so easy for an algorithm to distinguish people between gay and straight people. So what we need now is investment in positive use of artificial intelligence. For instance, the Claudette project, funded by BEUC, the European Consumers Federation, use automated processes to analyze the compliance of privacy policies with GDPR. And it looked at 14 policies of the biggest tech companies and found a total of 80,000 words. And Claudette concluded none of the policies was judged to comply with GDPR. So I hope this has given you a little food for thought for your deliberations today. My institution, the European Data Protection Supervisor, but I think all data protection authorities, including the Polish one, are committed to ensuring that artificial intelligence develops in a sustainable way with the needs of human, not just vested interest at the center. So once again, thank you for your attention. Dear Edytę, thank you for inviting me. Let me wish you the best for such a conference and promise to be in person with you at the next round.